What's up, guys? Dustin McDangle's back here with another video, and we've got a double upload for you guys today as we continue on with our NHL preview series here in the Pacific Division to start things off with this series. And in this episode today, to close things off for this Saturday, we're going to be taking a look at the Los Angeles Kings, where they were last year, where they're going this year with all the changes, new players, same players, and take a look at their stats and give you guys a full breakdown on what we expect and where we expect them to finish. So without further ado, let's go ahead and hop into this video right now. One of the surprise teams from last season, the LA Kings, exceeded all expectations going and finishing the year off with a 44-27-11 record, making it to the Stanley Cup playoffs, losing to the Edmonton Oilers 4-3, making it all the way to Game 7. Was very impressive, and one thing to note, they didn't even have a losing month in the entire year except the first month of October, where they went 3-5-1. Every other month during the year they were above 500. Taking a look at their team stats as well, goals for, they were 20th. Goals against, they were 8th in the league. Their power play was only 16.1%, as well as their penalty kill was only 76.7%, and that is probably why they finished in a wild card spot, third in their division. Now, one thing of note is the goaltender situation. I think going into this season, they've got old man Jonathan Quick and the new upcomer Cal Pedersen. Both their stats were okay last year. Quick actually had a .910 save percentage last year. Both had 20 plus wins, so they're going to need that moving forward going into this season. But let's go ahead and get into the acquisitions of those who left and those who came in. We'll get into the stats, and then we'll take a look at the projected lineups and their salary cap to end this video. When it comes to the acquisitions of the players who are leaving the LA Kings, it is not too many actually. Dustin Brown, we know he has retired from the LA Kings. What a career, and he's actually getting a statue outside of the arena for his career with the Kings, as well as Troy Stecher leaving as well. I believe he is going to the Detroit Red Wings. Those are the notable exits for the LA Kings. Now, the faces that they are bringing in, again, they've had one big acquisition this offseason, and that was to bring in Kevin Fiala from the Minnesota Wild, as well as sort of a new face, more of a role this upcoming season, Alex Turcotte coming into the squad this year. Should be interesting to see him mesh with the rest of the young lineup that they do have, as well as they do have $1.5 million worth of cap space moving forward into this season. Again, not a lot of room to move with, but I'm sure Rob Blake will find a way to make some more moves to make this team more of a playoff contender as we get into the later part of the season, closer to the trade deadline. On the screen right now, we also have their projected lineups brought to you by Puckpedia Online. You guys can go ahead and check out that website if you want to take a look at some projected lines, as well as on the screen right now, I'm going to talk about their point getters from last year. Adrian Kempe was their leading goal scorer with 35. Philip Deneau with 27. He had an absolutely crazy good season. I think playing second line minutes had a good reason for that. And on the assist side of things, Anze Kopitar with 48 and Trevor Moore with 31 assists. Both solid numbers. And taking a look at the top lines here for the Kings, I mean, they're pretty deep. Top six forwards, I mean, Kempe, Kopitar, Fiala, that's a pretty nasty first line for NHL standards. Second line, Trevor Moore, Philip Deneau, and Victor Arvidsson. I mean, right there, two solid top two lines. Bottom pair will be interesting. I follow, obviously, Velarde, Byfield. Who knows where Turcotte is going to fit in, or if he makes the team at all. Kiliev as well on the right wing there. Should be interesting to see him this year, but I think it's going to need to be a big year for that top line. Kopitar, Fiala, and Kempe. 1, can they stay healthy? 2, can Kopitar have another Selke type season? I think that's going to play a big part in if they're going to be able to make it far this year or not. And then on the back end, you've got Anderson, Doughty, Roy, Edler, Bromfoot, and Dursey, I believe is how you pronounce his last name. Again, the back end, I think, might be their weak spot this year. They might need to make a pickup there for another solid defensive type defenseman that is more of a name in the NHL. Again, these guys, I can barely pronounce some of their names, so it definitely might be a little tough for them. But in between the pipes, they do have Quick and Pedersen to bail them out. So that will be interesting as well to see if they can stand on their heads and get 20-plus wins again for the second straight year in a row. Taking a look at their cap, we've got a bunch of players here with some contracts ending at the end of this year, which could play a big factor on Depending on if the Kings are doing well, do they move their contracts near or at the deadline? If they're playing well, how are they going to get paid? Will they be paid by the Kings, or will they have to go elsewhere after this upcoming season, depending on how far they get? But notable people with expiring contracts: Trevor Moore, Brendan Lemieux. I mean, that sandpaper finish with the Brendan Lemieux acquisition a few years ago that they brought into the squad, giving us that feel of the old Kings when they were winning their cups. See if he can have a big year unrestricted, or if he's going to get moved. Velarde, I think of note for restricted free agent. He is 23 years old. Will they look to keep him or move on to the younger forwards that they have on their squad? And on the back end, again, Alexander Edler, he is a little bit older, 36 years old. He's more of a rent-a-type player. See how he does, and if he doesn't end up panning out, I'm sure they will probably end up moving on from him. And then Jonathan Quick, a staple for the LA Kings for years. He's got an unrestricted year that he's basically playing for. He's playing for a contract, which I think if he does well, he could make upwards to $3.5 million, I think, for maybe like a 2-3 year deal, either with the Kings or somebody else moving forward. So we'll have to wait and see there. And then Drew Doughty, I know we haven't talked about him much in this video. He is injured. He was injured. I'm sure he'll be back for the regular season. I don't know too many reports out on him at this point in time, so we'll have to wait and see when it comes to Drew Doughty. But he's a massive part of their team. I mean, he's making $11 million on their squad, so we'll have to wait and see how he does this upcoming season. I'm sure we'll have at least a 50 to 60 plus point year for him if he stays healthy. But overall, I think the LA Kings will go backwards a bit this upcoming season. They might end up around the same win mark, but I don't think that it will be good enough in their division this upcoming year to make the playoffs. I think the win mark you need to make the playoffs this year is going to be 50, and I just don't think the Kings are going to get it. They might end up with maybe 42 to 45 wins, and it might be good enough. I don't think it will. But I want to know what you guys think down in the comments below. I want to hear from the LA Kings fans. Is Kevin Fiala going to have a massive year? Will Kopitar lead the Kings to the playoffs once again? Does Trevor Moore have a breakout year as it is a contract year? And what does Jonathan Quick do? Does he stay healthy? Does he have one last Vezina push in him? We'll have to wait and see, but I want to know what you guys have to say about that in the comments. But that's going to be it for today's episode. Tomorrow we will finish off the Pacific Division with the Edmonton Oilers and Calgary Flames, so stay tuned to that. But I hope you guys have a good one, and as always, stay dusty.